Welcome back, everybody. Obviously, if you're here, you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. It's Tackle Tip Tuesday. Let's get going. Okay, like I said, it's Tackle Tip Tuesday, and today is all about bluegills. If you guys followed me long enough, I've been wanting to do something kind of like this for a long time. I just didn't know how to put it together. So one of the top things I wanted to do, because everybody loved that top 10 perch video, or perch lures video, that I did this last winter. If you didn't, I'll link it at the end of this video. You can go back and watch that. But after I get through with my top 10 bluegill lures. Now, the thing is here is you can do top 10 lures for open water and ice fishing as long as you do both. And some of these lures you're going to notice are kind of like a crossover, so like that you can be used for both. But a lot of times people don't even think about that, so this might open a few eyes. Okay, so as you guys seen in the thumbnail here, we got Kalins Crappie Scrub, JB Lures Tadpole Spin, Little Hustler. That's just one of the types of crappie tube makers out there, but this is just what I happen to have on hand. Some of you guys might recognize this, but this is a Cubby Mini Mite, or Nail Tail, or whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of different manufacturers of that too. Obviously the Mr. Twister, Go-To, Twister Tails, and what do we got here? Oh yeah, JB Lures Big Bad Bow Spoon. Like I said, that's an ice fishing jig that a lot of people won't think of. This is one that nobody, I promise you, nobody is using. Well, almost nobody. I know a couple gill guys that understand the concept of throwing a slender spoon during the summertime. That's JB Lures Rabbit Hair Jig. That is a custom painted Sickle Hook Jig by me. But I can link it all. All of this stuff will be linked in the description, so you guys can get your own top 10 list and go do what you need to do when it comes to catching bluegills. Because if you have this and you don't catch bluegills, I'm sorry to say, but you're going to have a difficult time. And the last thing here is, I think Cream makes this. I don't know if they still do, but it's a miniature crankbait. Let's go into detail on all this, and I'll tell you how I use them. Okay, so let's go into this is the one that I use first in the season. We've kind of gone over the period of time where you can really use these in super shallow water, but you can use them all the way out to, like, I mean, they make bigger sizes. This is the JB Lures Tadpole Spin. This one I've been using for years. It's a great search bait. It's one of the ones that you can really take and just keep tied on from probably open, like ice out. Like, so if you fish places that have ice fishing, give it a week or two after ice out. As soon as the water temps hit like 45, almost 50 degrees, you'll be surprised at how many bluegills and crappie you actually catch on this. But basically, for bluegill searching, if they're not biting it, they will show themselves, and that is a big key when you're trying to find big bluegills, or any bluegills for that matter. So the Tadpole Spin is 100% something you guys want to look into. I probably have 100 of these things. Okay, so we went over the Tadpole Spin. This is the next go-to. This is the Kalins Crappie Scrub. And I think this is it's the 1.75. They make bigger ones, but this 1.75 paired with the right jig setup. You guys have probably seen my crappie fishing video on how to fish this specific bait. I wanted to do one, basically a Tackle Tip Tuesday on only this one, because for crappie fishing you kind of have to fish it a little bit different. But for the rest of the season, for bluegills, it really is one of those ones where it's kind of like a multifaceted bait, and you don't have to try too hard to work it. If you guys want me to go into detail on how to fish this for bluegills, let me know, and I'll try to do like an actual on the water segment where I show you guys the difference between how I fish this for crappie and how I fish it for bluegills, because the difference is in like how the presentation comes in, and really you need to have that difference in order to target the bluegills versus the crappie. It's a very cut and dry, like one does this and it catches you crappie, one does this and it catches you bluegill. But you can use the same thing for both of those. So if you already have this for crappie, don't count it out for bluegills. Okay, so next is this little Hustler crappie tube. These just happen to be pink and silver. I think hot pink and white. Yeah, make that. So hot pink and white. And the thing is here is bluegills tend to like pink and white anything. You'll kind of get a theme when I start pulling other things out that pink and white, pink and chartreuse. You know, the main theme with bluegills is pink and white, pink and chartreuse, just chartreuse, purple, purple flake. There's a very general thing for bluegill fishing, but as far as tubes are concerned, the little Hustler just happens to be one of like the top producers. I believe that there is probably like 5 to 7 different companies that make tubes, but these are just the little guys. These are 1.5s, so 1.5 inches long. The key here is it's bluegills. I mean, you'll see I go much bigger for baits, but the general idea is stick a jig in this and either throw it underneath a slip bobber or swim it back. I have a lot of videos fishing like that, so if you go through my videos and you see I'll be talking about this. Some of the upcoming videos I should have some other, you know, featured videos where I put this together and kind of tell you how to fish it. But this little bait right here, sold everywhere. You can go to Lakeside Bait and Tackle in Delavan if you're ever in the Walworth area. He's got every one of these, so make sure you stop by and just ask Brad there. He'll hook you up. If he doesn't have these ones specifically, he has all of the other ones. So, okay, so we've gone through 3 so far. This little guy right here, this is not what they, well, no, I think this is actually what they come in. This little bugger right here is the it's just a mini mite by Cubby. That's who it is. Cubby mini mite. And you see it's got this little tail, and a lot of people just call these nail tails. I want to say there's a couple different companies who make them. Obviously you see it's got a lot of action in the tail. Otherwise it's just a simple ribbed body and then a standard jig head that comes with it. These are pre-rigged, by the way. That's why it comes in the tube. But this is one of those ones too where you can just throw that under a slip bobber or a float or whatever, fishing shallow all the way deep if you want to with the slip bobber. That's why I made a slip bobber video for you guys. When you're done watching this, go through my videos of my other Tackle Tip Tuesdays and you'll find the slip bobber video on how to adjust it and everything. But that's one of those simple ones where you can just fish it that way, cast it, you name it. There's a million different ways to fish it, but that is one you should definitely get, is Cubby mini mites. Alright, I figured I'd go through the last of the plastics here, because these are, I mean, there's more, mind you, just so you guys understand that, like, yes, I'm doing a top 10. These are like a top 10 go-to for me. I will always have these, and you'll see, like, this is a 20-pack. Mr. Twister, chartreuse, or yellow, make that yellow tails. It's a 2-inch teeny tail, or whatever it says on here. Just a small Mr. Twister tail. This is another one of those things that Brad has at Lakeside Bait and Tackle. So, like, if you're looking for these things and you happen to be in Wisconsin, make that southern Wisconsin, Lakeside Bait and Tackle. You can look them up online, but your best thing is just give him a call. He can get anything you see here, he should be able to get. So, the Twister tail, always have these on hand, because say you run out of live bait, you run out of anything, and you're using a certain jig or certain technique under a bobber or something like that, you'd be surprised at what will eat these. I want to say this is probably the first bait I ever threw for bluegills, so keep that in mind. Okay, so let's get into the difference of baits here. So we went through, these are all plastics, so soft plastics, and I mean, this is mechanical, it's got the spinner on it, but for the most part, those are all plastics, things you would get, you know, you'd want to go through for durability, things where you can work them hard, obviously catch tons of fish on them. The next, what do I got? 5 left, so I did 5 already. This is the last 5. I'm gonna do real quick here, and I won't do it quick. I want you guys to understand that you can fish different styles of things for bluegills. This is why I'm addicted to them, and you'll see in a second here. First off, let's go right into it. This is the JB Lures Big Bad Bow Spoon. I think this is like a 1/32 ounce or 1/16 ounce. I think it's 1/32 because I think they have a bigger one that's a 1/16. Don't quote me on that. I'm not positive. It's their smallest JB Lures Big Bad Bow Spoon. This one comes in like a normal packaging. I just keep them in these little tubes. I actually have a video of these tubes that I bought, but you see it. It's a real simple little spoon. Got good markings. Once again, if you guys were paying attention, pink with a little flash and a little red treble. It's like a number 12 red treble. But the JB Lures Big Bad Bow Spoon can be used all year round. That's 100% all year round. You guys watch my ice fishing videos, you know, but if you haven't watched any of my ice fishing videos, say you're not into ice fishing or something like that, I use it all winter long, and it catches fish all winter long. And I mean, it catches everything, but when I'm targeting big bluegills, this is one of the secrets that I kind of pull out that might have just slipped. Please be careful. Don't keep all the big bluegills that you catch with this bait. But yeah, this is something that you can cast, put under the slip bobber, drift, jig. There's a million different ways to use this. Obviously, if you guys want me to go into an in-depth detail on this one, this is something I can definitely go over on. So leave it in the comments below if you want an in-depth description of how to use this Big Bad Bow Spoon. Okay, we're getting down to the last four here. Since we're on the subject of JB Lures Big Bad Bow Spoons, let's go right into their little hair jigs. This is just one of them, but as I was trying to say before, pink and chartreuse, pink. There's a million different things that you can go for combinations of these things. Let's see if we can get that to focus. It's a nice standard little jig. And like I said, there's a million ways to fish this thing too. So not only is it a good little combination jig, it's tied great, it's rabbit hair, it's actual rabbit hair. So this one's built perfectly for sitting horizontal underwater and bouncing around. Something about rabbit hair just works better underwater. But this is a JB Lures rabbit hair jig. If you're looking for these, JB Lures has them on their site. You can also get them at Brad's, Lakeside Bait and Tackle. Sorry, Brad, but just everybody, if you're watching this, bug Brad. Yes, Lakeside Bait and Tackle. Call up, ask for Brad. If he's there, bug him. These are the ones that you're gonna, want to get into. This is a very small one, so it's like a 1/64th. They make them bigger, obviously, but small, little, bug mimic. You get the point. It's a good bluegill bait. Alright, let's get into the strange and the stranger. Well, this isn't strange. This guy goes with all the plastics that I showed you, but it's one of those things that people overlook. It's the big thing here. Let's see if I can get some light on that. This is a 1/16 ounce Sickle Hook Jig with a red hook. It's real beefy, and the thing is with this one versus like a standard round head jig, which those work too, is the way you hook fish with this one is almost always in the top lip. So like, not everybody cares about conservation of fish, but the ones that do, this one right here, it goes in easy, but it makes it really hard for them to swallow it. And then on top of that, it's hard for them to, well, this is one everybody's going to love. It's really hard for them to steal the bait off this hook. It's a really good hookup percentage, but the combination between good hookup percentage and not being able to steal your bait off of it, or like plastics, like pulling plastics off of it, so you got to use a new one every time, that's my number one reason for having this. So I'll have this linked in the description with all the rest of these lures, so you can get a chance to get your hands on these exact jigs. Really, it's one of those things. As long as you're using one of the lighter ones, 1/16 ounce or 1/32 or 1/64th, once you're down in those smaller ranges, these jigs are money. So make sure you look into them.
Alright, last two here. And these two are going to be one of those things where you're going to be like, that's a bluegill lure? I don't believe you. Well, here's the big thing. I didn't believe anybody until I, started chasing bigger bluegills. And that was when I had to refine all of my different tactics. Because I fish, as you guys know, big waters, big bluegill waters, and then on top of that, highly pressured water. So you got to change up your methods. You got to try different things. And everybody does that thing where they catch something accidentally, but then they just kind of shrug it off as like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Well, I'm the guy that looks into it, and I really, really look into it. And when I did that one day I was fishing in the spring. And this is, make it early summer, so right around June here, June, July. This is a slender spoon. This is an ice fishing jig. Everybody uses it ice fishing. Well, if you tie up a swivel, I do a snap and a inline swivel, so there's like a 24-inch leader or something like that, so this doesn't twist up your line. You put this on the snap, just like you would in the wintertime for ice fishing, for anybody that ice fishes. If you don't know, you'll put this on like a standard snap, but there won't be a swivel part above that. And what you'll do is in line up here, you put an inline swivel, so it's just got two rings on it, and you tie your main line to it, and you tie your leader line to that. But you do that on your long rods, and you just cast and troll this thing by weed edges, over deep weed flats, over mud flats. There's a million ways to fish it. This is something I could go into for days on for a Tackle Tip Tuesday. So leave that in the comments below if you want me to just do an in-depth detailed Tackle Tip Tuesday on fishing a slender spoon in open water. Because there's so many people that think you can't fish this anywhere besides the ice. So keep that in mind. Alright. Last but not least, we're going to go into the original. This is the OG, the original. This is a Cream Lures little mini crank. I don't actually have the name of it memorized anymore, but it's got a single treble, which I usually replace, but this one's still sticky, so it's doing okay. The thing that people don't like about these is, if you've ever fished like cranks for bass, this little lip on here will run crooked or straight 50-50. So it's not something that I can be like, yeah, if you guys take this out, you will catch fish on it, because you got to get it to run right. You got to run light line, so like 4-pound test, max 5-6 pound test. If you run anything heavier than that, you're just dragging it through the water and it won't do what it's supposed to do. But this little bad boy, when they're shallow, this thing only dives like 2 feet at most, I think, and that's if you're cranking it, and you shouldn't be moving it that fast. But when they're shallow and they're defending themselves, or they're feeding up before the spawn and after the spawn, this little guy will catch you a ton of big bluegills. So the Cream Lures mini crank, like I said, I don't have the actual name, and I don't even know if they make these anymore. If I can find them online, I'll put them in the list of lures below for you guys. But otherwise, happy hunting, because it took me a while to get my hands on these, and I'm down to like 3, because guess what else likes them? Big northern pike. So you will lose them. I promise you, you will lose them. But they also catch fish, and it's fun, because you get to cast and crank for bluegills. So keep that one in your list. Alright guys, so I hope this video helps you guys catch more bigger bluegills more often. And it's really one of those things. I catch bluegills so often, and I know how to change it up so often, and I'm on that like switch until I catch method, that I always forget that a lot of you guys don't have that mentality. You know, you fish out, you go cast bobbers out and you let them sit, or you cast something and put it on the bottom and let it sit. Well, those will catch you fish. Sometimes the active approach is the best approach, and sometimes that's how you put more fish in your boat or on shore. It just helps you catch more fish. So obviously, if you're not new here, you know what's up. But if you are new here, please just remember to